Hi, my name is Sam Crusoe, and this is my new student dialogue, class 2015 here at Clemson. I took the new student dialogue at the class at December 7th in Tillman Hall, so I was in the bigger one, and unfortunately I wasn't able to experience it in a small group setting, but I got to do it in a bigger setting, which allowed me to kind of listen more than speak, because normally in a dialogue or something like that, I would be someone who comes out to speak a little bit more rather than someone who is just listening. And I think that's really, that's something I definitely benefited from, was being able to sit there and listen to the situation and what people had to say instead of always putting in my own input on things. Um, Basically, if we're looking at the outline of our dialogue, um, it was over diversity, which is the biggest product there. We had a couple speakers and a video shown, and it covered the topic of diversity. And um, the first main issue was the complexity of social identity. And so when we look at that, I think one of the interesting things I learned about that is that, you know, me being from the north, or someone being from the south, we all see diversity as a different thing. I definitely noticed that coming down here to South Carolina from Chicago, that people may, speak differently um, about other types of people and things like that. But normally everyone, though lots of northern people, some used to see it as kind of a rude way to say things. In reality, it's just how people talk differently. And I thought that was something really interesting. And though it wasn't really focused on and spoken over, that was something that I definitely picked up on while I was listening to this. I was just thinking about that, my relationship from home, coming back here, and how it's all really different. People are talking about different things, but everyone kind of means the same thing. Generally, today we don't have an issue with diversity. There are people who may be racist or not like people from different social standard, or people who don't have as much money as them, or for any which way reason. But when we look at diversity, we see the mix of social classes. So whether we have the poor, the rich, middle class, or people who are black, white, Asian, we have a mix of people that come together to do their, like any normal community would. And so um, I'm doing my Houston dollar. And so the next thing that we covered was uh, conflict in response to diversity. So one of the big issues that takes place is people conflict over diversity. There's lots of, obviously, racial issues taking place in America, and but people come into conflict often thinking that they're having troubles with each other, but lots of times it's just big misunderstandings of the entire situation, which is something that I think is, really important to look at. That lots of times these big issues, it's just people trying to get along in different ways, and we can see that from the past, and I know hopefully we can see that taking place presently and look to the future and try to fix that. Um, Thirdly, in my notes, in the outline, uh, the value of diversity in higher education was the next topic covered. And so the value of diversity, I think, is very important, and it's something that definitely takes place. And here at Clemson University, we consider ourselves a higher education school where we, obviously give people the opportunity to come here and learn more than they would out of a high school degree. And by having diversity here, it allows us to not only be like in your little shell that you often are in high school, where there's in my case, my high school had 4 or 5 black kids, and a lot of people of different culture, but going to different places allows you to see different things and learn new things and interact with different people, which I think is something very important. That when you can interact with new people and work your way from high school out of your shell and through college, you can be with different types of people, and learn how to live with different types of people and how they're all just normal people. And then by the time 4 years graduated from Clemson, when you have your job, it's going to be no different from what you interacted with at your higher education. And then Finally, we had that video during our new student dialogue, which I thought was very interesting. It was about the lady from Nigeria and her issues with people assuming things when she came to the United States. They assumed she was, some tribal lady who, had nothing and spoke some odd language, and really she was a normal, interacting, middle-aged woman who came to America with a small education, but an education nonetheless, to do what she wanted to do here, where instead her roommate thought she, had tribal songs and things like that. And I think that's just something big too, is the misunderstandings that take place. And so looking at that, I mean, I thought I really benefited from this. I learned a lot. Was able to pick up on a few things that I hope I can, keep in the back of my mind and keep focused on, just to keep this whole issue of diversity and make it not an issue anymore. So thank you. This is my new student dialogue, and have a good day. Go Tigers.